What is up, guys? I hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're tackling r// I Don't Work Here Lady. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell if you enjoy the content, of course. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Alternate Wash. Apparently, the old lady I always help in the grocery store thought I worked there. I do my shopping the exact same time every week in a large grocery store. There's a little old woman who usually does her shopping at around the same time. She has some mobility issues and doesn't buy much. So after a few times of seeing her having to flag down help every time she wanted something from a shelf above shoulder level, I approached her and asked if she'd like a shopping companion. It took me under 10 minutes to get everything on her list, and she was very gracious and grateful. Even offered me a few dollars, which I didn't accept, of course. I didn't give this a second thought. I wasn't raised to question whether you take 10 minutes to help an old woman in the grocery store or not. It's just what you do. So next week when I saw her again, I asked if she'd like someone to shop with her, and she again was very grateful for the help. It became my usual routine that whenever I spotted her, usually every other week or two, I'd give her a hand. One week I didn't do my shopping at the usual time. I worked a little late. And when I came in, there was a big fuss at the customer service desk involving my shopping friend and a young man. I started to go over to be sure everything was alright and hear the young man saying, "What do you mean no one with that name works here? She had a name tag on." "My mum saw the name, right ma?" And she says she did. And the flummoxed customer service kid is saying he really doesn't have anyone by the name who works here. The young man is going, "What do you mean? Did you fire her? She was here last week, right ma?" And I realise it's my name and a potential source of the confusion. I go in for shopping immediately after work, and my work uniform is a maroon shirt and khaki pants with a name tag. The grocery store I shop at has white shirts, any kind of pants you want, and a maroon apron with the store's logo, so a little similar. I go over and she gleefully cries, "There you are! I want you to meet my son!" And he started telling me how grateful he is I was taking the time out of my work to personally help his mum shop, and now that he's in town, he wanted to say thanks in person and give me some money, or at least put in a good word with my manager at the store. So could I point them out so we could speak with them? I explained the confusion and they were both so touched. It was one of the most poignant moments of my life and definitely the most meaningful I've ever had in a supermarket. Our next story is from Bye Bye Brain 1. Don't mess with my grandma, Karen. The denotations of the people involved are pretty obvious, so I'm not going to list them. Summary: Grandma with Alzheimer's puts Karen in her place. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, so she often doesn't know where she is or who is with her. I know for a fact that she has no idea who I am. Therefore, I make an effort to call her Grandma multiple times in any sitting or activity we participate in. Recently, I noticed she needed her hair and nails done as the colour in both these areas was fading or chipped. So I made an appointment with a family member who owns a beauty salon and took her there. Normally, customers or those waiting for someone sit in the front area and rarely accompany a person they came with inside the actual salon floor. So I understand why assumptions were made, but still, don't mess with my grandmother. I was on the salon floor with my grandmother, sitting in the seat in front of her, when my cousin coloured her hair. I was there to make sure to keep her calm and engaged while her hair and nails were being done. She was telling me the same story she had told me 10 times in the last 10 minutes. Bless her heart, when I felt someone behind me. Now we're in the farthest corner of the room, not near a bathroom or wash station, so there was really no reason someone should be behind me. My grandmother stops talking and looks behind me. Grandma, chipper as ever. "Hi, are you another grandchild?" Karen says, "No, I am not. And why are you not working? There is a line over there." Me, upon realising she is talking to me, say over my shoulder, "I don't work here." Karen then says, "Now I can't believe that. You're on the floor, which means you work here." She's talking to me condescendingly, and I do not take that sort of tone well. Neither does my grandmother. In a moment of clarity, I watch the bright chipper smile fall and a glimpse of my brainiac grandmother peek through. I shoot a warning glance at my cousin, who is pursing her lips to keep from laughing prematurely. Grandma says, "Well, by your own logic, my dear, you must be a worker. Go get me a Coke, would you? That's a good honey bunch." Karen starts sputtering and my grandma laughs. The chipper look returns to her face and she says, "Hi, are you one of my grandchildren?" As Karen stomps off in her loud high heels, my grandma turns and says loudly, "I guess not. My grandchildren are not bitches." Oh my god, I love my grandma. I don't know where Karen went. I wasn't really paying attention to her after that. Our next story is from White on Miyoji. I hope I got that right. I get harassed while teaching a game. Store owner starts to give me the employee discount. It's me, your friendly neighborhood card game judge. In addition to running and judging tournaments all over the place, I have some shocking news. I love card games. I've played almost every CCG, TCG, LCG, Unique Games card game that's been printed, and I love teaching people how to play card games. Some games are really simple and others are complex and require 5 sets of tokens. So, about 5 weeks ago, I was at my FLGS, friendly local game store, and I was showing a few people how to play a new cooperative card game based on a major comic book franchise. I was explaining the rules and what the card game does and everything. The entire time there was this ET, let's call him Modoc, that kept interrupting me. Now I love teaching, so I don't mind explaining things, but Modoc was asking things like, why isn't Krypton Man or Nocturnal Avian Mammal Man in this game? Wrong publisher. How come you're playing as a girl hero? Who's that anyway? I never heard of her, she must suck. I kind of had enough, so I snapped, look, you apparently don't know what you're talking about, so please leave us alone and let me finish teaching the game. If you're interested in learning, I can stick around after and teach you the game. Modoc stormed off, and I'm like, good riddance. Finally, I got the game set up and we started playing. All was well, with the exception that we were getting our asses kicked by the game. Then I noticed Modoc walking to a woman, let's call her Healer, in full Karen gear, storming towards me. Uh-oh. She says, did you snap at my kid? To which I say, yeah, I'm trying to teach this game to people and Modoc kept interrupting us. Well, isn't your job to answer questions from customers? I say, what are you talking about? You work here, don't you? No, I don't, and I'm done being interrupted. Get lost, lady. How dare you? I know I've seen you behind the counter before, and you're here every week doing things. I say, look, get it through your thick skull that I don't work here. Now leave me alone before I have you and Modoc thrown out for harassing me. You're a liar. You do work here. And I interrupt her. I'm done with this bullshit. I storm to the counter and get the store owner. We'll call him Thor. He says, hey, what's going on? Can you fix this crazy bitch in her spawn? She's been harassing me for like 5 minutes and saying I work for you. He says, you do? And he looks at Healer and Modoc. Oh god, you two. Look, it's one thing to harass my employees. They get paid to take a certain amount of abuse, but it's completely another thing to harass one of my customers. Do you know how much this guy spends in my store? Healer says, why is everyone lying? I know he works here. I see him behind the counter on your computer. Fire him right now, or I'll make sure Modoc and his friends never come to your store ever again. Thor then says, he runs events for me, that's why he's behind the counter. I don't pay him to run those events. I can't run those events without him, and I make money off those events. I'm not firing him because he's not an employee, and if he was an employee, I wouldn't fire him for all the money he makes me. And Modoc and his friends? What friends? Oh, his friends who he annoys all the time. The friends that get yelled at by him when they try to help him get better, and the friends that he begged to ban him from the store. Those friends. Now get the fuck out of my store, or I'll call the cops. Healer looks stunned for a minute, and then turns around and storms out the store. Modoc stood there looking like he's about to cry, then Thor shouted, leave, now, and Modoc turned and ran after Healer. I said, thanks, do I get employee discount now? Thor rolled his eyes at me and flipped me off and walked away laughing. I went back to my table and continued the game. We got our asses handed to us. A few weeks later, I went back to pick something up from the store. I know how much the item should cost, but the price was being charged lower than I was expecting. I didn't mention anything, but I noticed on the receipt 10% employee discount. I mentioned this to the clerk, and he pulled up my store account and told me that Thor changed my account to an employee account. Our next story is from Dre. Hi. None of us work here. I'm a lady in my late 30s. My style is feminine and slightly dressier than many. I also like makeup and jewellery and frequently wear both. I probably look like a Karen actually. So I'm somewhat professionally dressed and shopping at the cosmetics counter at the local department store. Rhymes with Tracy's. A late teenage or college age girl is also there and spills her drink. She looks at me apologetically and says, oh, I'll clean it up. I shrug sympathetically at her because it's utterly not my problem. No employees in sight at the moment. Well-behaved teen goes and gets some paper towels from the restroom and is wiping at the drink spill. Along comes oblivious Karen. I've moved slightly farther away at this point, but still in earshot. Oh, Karen sees flustered teenager clean up a spill, loudly clears her throat and taps toes. She says, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I spilled this and I'm just trying to wipe it up. Well, I need help now. The teen says, I'm sure someone will be over in a second. I'm late for my appointment and I left my XYZ makeup product at home and I need XYZ specific product right now, so leave that and go get it for me. Teen attempts to explain that she literally can't, as she doesn't work here, which almost certainly implies that she doesn't have the keys to the makeup cases. Oh, Karen is having none of it, telling her to go get someone who is less useless, etc. Teen looks helplessly in my direction, which also directs Oh Karen's stare at me. At this point I realise they both think I do work here, and that Oh Karen at least thinks that I supervise this younger person. I had actually decided that I was going to try and call off this rabid female dog myself, and had started moving in their direction. Oh Karen sees me in a kindred spirit who will help properly chastise this impertinent servant. Like a gift from above, I have a sudden malicious inspiration. I put on my best customer service voice. Oh sweetie, I'm so very sorry we are completely sold out of XYZ product. I think it might be coming in shipment we are getting next week. Now I live in a small town, the only local source for upscale makeup in Tracy's. Your only other options around being the blue and red big box stores. So if they don't have it here, she is out of luck at getting it immediately anywhere nearby. Best of luck. Karen has a brief delicious rant about what a stupid store it is that can't keep her very important makeup in stock, then she stalks off in a huff. Poor teenager is trying to explain herself. I'm sorry, I think she thought I worked here. Me, smiling at the teenager. Yeah, I don't work here either. I still smile when I think about it. Our next story is from Reginana. Oh, you're a personal shopper? Shop for me. So I've posted on here before, and I just want to thank everyone for the love. Now onto the story. Backstory, this happened a few hours ago. I was out with my mum for the afternoon. She has an arm injury from an accident, and I often help her out when I can. Today I wore a Selena shirt. Selena was a Mexican-American singer who was super popular in the 90s but was killed in 1995, for those who don't know who she was, and black leggings. The Walmart employees wore a store polo with a logo on it and khaki pants or shorts, so yeah, I wore nothing like the actual employees, and I'm not a personal shopper. This happened right after we had a late lunch at a semi-nice restaurant. After we ate, we decided to head over to Walmart to get a couple of items. Like I said, my mum has an arm injury from an accident, and I was in the store with her helping her reach items she couldn't reach. We're in the store for a few moments. My mum sends me off to find some Coke. I go into the soda part of the store. I'm reaching for the soda when I feel a tap on my shoulder. I grab the Coke and turn around thinking I'm in someone's way, and well, I kind of was. The lady, not really a Karen, pointed to the Coke. Her arms were pretty full. Why she didn't have a cart was beyond me. Karen says, "Can you please get that Coke for me?" Me, being ever polite. "Yeah, sure, your arms look pretty full. Do you need a cart?" Karen said, "I was kind of hoping you could help me. I saw you help that woman." I said, "Oh, but that's my mum. I came in to help her. She has an arm injury and I was helping her get a few things before I go home." Karen then says, "But you helped her." I just gave her a look like, "What are you talking about?" I say, "I mean, yeah, she's my mum. I kind of have to help her." Then she says, "So you're a personal shopper for her?" Me, laughing at that statement, since it was kind of true. I often stop and get things for my mum since my mum doesn't drive and my dad works late, and I live nearby. I say, well, you got that part right. I'm sorry I can't help you right now. I have to get back to my mum." Karen then says, "Well, get the rest of the items from my list." And I just shake my head. "Mum, I don't know how to tell you this, but I have to get back to my mum." I leave quickly and I get back to my mother and tell her about the wild Karen encounter. My mother said I did the best I could, and behold, Karen is behind us. She proceeds to tap my mother on the shoulder. My mum turns around and sees the Karen I was talking about. Karen says, "Hi, yes, does she work for you?" My mum then says, "Yes, she has for 22 years. We have this ongoing joke that I was the maid in the family." Karen looks at me agape. It was like she was trying to process what my mum had said. Karen says, "But she can't be that old." To which my mum says, "Nope, she's been 22. Been 22 since May. She's also my daughter and we just stopped to get a few things." Karen says, "But she helped me." Well, that's how I raised her. I'm happy she helped you, but we really need to get going. We check out and wave to Karen, still looking very confused. I'm sorry it wasn't a dramatic ending, but at least no one died. Indeed. Our next story is from Reddit Wright. Weird encounter at the gym. Happened a few nights ago. I was at my usual gym, but a little later at night than usual because I had overtime with work. There were much less people than normal during the night than day, so there are less staff also. During the time, there is only one trainer and he's busy with his two other trainees on the far corner. I was sitting by the bench in between my sets when a young lady came over to ask for help to use the treadmill near my area. I gladly helped her out and she went on using it, so I turned back now to go back to the bench area. But a much older lady grabbed my attention by tapping my shoulder. She said she can't turn on the treadmill right next to the young lady. I gladly obliged, but after twiddling with it, finding out if it was plugged in etc, I can't seem to turn it on too. I told her it's probably broken. I rarely use the treadmills, but I usually see it was out of order most of the time, so I offered her to use the other cardio machines instead, but she refused, saying she doesn't want those. I say, how about the elliptical machine or the stationary bike? The lady says, but it's not the same. Do you even know how to start this thing? She says this condescendingly. I say, sorry ma'am, but I really think it's broken. Why don't you try the other machines while you wait for the other customer to finish? These other machines should warm you up, and they are low impact and safe for the joints too. The lady says, are you saying I can't handle a treadmill? She raised her voice. I say, no ma'am, I'm not making assumptions, I'm just suggest, and she cuts me off. No, you're discriminating your customers. You assisted her with all smiles without any complaints, just because she's younger. What? Prettier? Hotter? That is unfair. You don't treat your customers equally. I should ask for a refund and take my membership elsewhere if you continue to have a service like this. The front desk staff heard us and took over to calm her down and accompany her out, and made a quick hand gesture as she looked at me. I believe it meant she'll handle this, so I just left them and went back to the bench. I was a little amazed that the young woman in the treadmill didn't even bother and probably didn't even hear us under her headset. What kind of music will she listen to, I wonder? Anyway, I don't really know the kind of face I was making when I talked to her and the other lady. It must have been offending to talk to them differently, but I wasn't totally paying attention since I was just trying to help. I genuinely didn't mean any harm suggesting her to use a different machine, but I felt guilty. I went on to proceed with my sets. A little later, she came back and apologised. She told me she didn't know I wasn't gym staff since I was very accommodating to the other customer, so she just assumed. I'm practically wearing nothing resembling the uniforms of staff, and I'm not even fit enough to look like a trainer, so I don't know what made her think that way. But she continued to talk to me and tell me stories of her previous experiences in her previous gym while I was doing my reps. I don't really listen anymore since I'm just trying to concentrate on my last few pushes. Afterwards, I stood up and told her I'll be doing my cable fly next and offered to help her out with the elliptical if she wants to, but she said no. She'd just work out her hips instead. Guess what? It was right next to the cables, and she continued to tell me more stories about her life as she rotates left and right while I'm performing the rest of my workout. She began telling me the names of the guys in the gym and telling me if I knew them. I know them by face, but didn't really bother to know their names, so I just kept saying no. I finished my workout a little earlier because I was super bummed out by listening to her voice. It was a mistake that I did not brought my headset to, and she continued to ask me more questions. I had to stop her mid-sentence to bid her goodbye. I said, sorry ma'am, I'm just finished my workout and about to leave. The treadmill is now free if you want to use it. The young lady using it is now finished and using another machine. She said, nah, I'm done too. I'll go wash up the powder room in a minute. I grabbed my bag and proceeded to go to the men's room, and she tapped my shoulder again from behind before she entered the ladies' room, but I just washed my hands quickly and get out of there. It was super weird. I went out and nodded to the front desk staff as I passed her by. She was smiling at me, and she said, she got you, and I shook my head and just raised my hand to bid her goodbye without looking back. Our next story is from Pokemaster Mason. Angry Karen yelled at me for not taking away her dirty dishes at a Chinese restaurant. So this happened when I was 16 and going through an emo phase, so my hair was dyed black. Also, before I get to find the store, I'm going to say that I have absolutely zero Asian blood flowing through my veins, and my ancestry tree looks like a highlighted map of Europe with a couple of spots missing. At the time I was dating this girl from 2 towns over, at one of her family members' weddings. My dad and stepmom have Addie Jane business, and they used to pay me and my siblings $20 to help them set up and take down their equipment. This girl and I had been dating for about 4 months when she decided to introduce me to her grandparents, and her opinion of her grandparents mattered much more than her abusive parents. So on a Sunday, I dressed up inside of some of the nicest clothes that actually fit me and weren't from Goodwill, which was a pair of black dress pants and a black polo shirt and a white tie. After church, her grandparents had decided to treat her and I to lunch at one of those Chinese buffet style restaurants. I was doing great with the grandparents and enjoying my meal. When it came to filling up my plate again, I've always taken my dirty plate with me whenever I go to get more food because I don't like to have wait staff carry a plate after plate of food. While on my way to get a third plate, I heard, "Excuse me sir," from behind. I didn't really pay attention because how was an unemployed high school student and no one at that point had called me sir. I continue walking towards the food when I hear the same voice say, "Excuse me, waiter." I had a hand grab my shoulder and spun me around. And this, my friends, was my first ever encounter with a Karen. I shocked said, "The fuck you think you're doing, you crazy bitch? I've never liked people touching me without warning." "What did you just say to me, you little shit?" I said, "I called you a crazy bitch because you just grabbed me out of nowhere." The lady said, "Well, if you'd have just turned around, I wouldn't have had to grab you. Now take the dirty plates off my table." That's when I caught onto it. "Lady, I don't work here. I just like reusing the plates because I don't like leaving a mess when I don't have to." The lady then dug her fingers into my chest. "You're wearing the uniform. I don't care if you're not on the clock. Just do what I tell you to." I started getting frustrated at this point. "I don't work here. I've never worked here. Now don't lay your grubby fingers on me or I'll wind up doing something that'll make me look bad to my girlfriend's grandparents." The lady tried to shove me with one hand and I flipped her onto her back. At this point, a bunch of people saw what happened and started swarming around trying to separate me from the lady. Police were called, and of course, she tried playing the victim, saying I assaulted her out of nowhere. I said my side of the story and pointed out the fact that I was a minor and told them to watch the security camera footage, and of course, I was the only one in the story lined up with what was shown. In the end, no one was arrested, but were both banned from the restaurant. Also, the girlfriend's grandparents did like the fact that I wound up flipping a lady during lunch, and the girl and I broke up about 3 days later. I do on occasion go to that restaurant. I'm about a full 6 inch taller, I'm actually able to grow facial hair, and I don't look like an emo fuckboy anymore. Our next story is from Cam on Your Face. "I don't work here, and you're not a customer here. A new breed of Karen. Just had a great experience at my work, kinda. Long, but worth it, is Australian based. Before I get into it, and just to add a bit of background, I've been a manager in my line of work for over a decade now, and we deal with rude people all the time. I have zero patience for rude people, and I give it back exactly how it's given to me. At my work, I do the post office run each morning, dropping and collecting mail from our PO box. Great chance to get out of the office and create new, long ways back to work. Today we had a parcel pickup slip in there, nothing unusual with that, we get them all the time. So I collect the parcel and take it back to work with the other mail. When I get back to my desk, I notice that the parcel is from Amazon, addressed to someone who doesn't work here, but has our office PO box details. There's also a contact number for her on the parcel sticker. So being the kind, caring gentleman I am, I give her a call. It goes to voicemail, so I leave a detailed message about the situation and how to contact me. Moments later, I get a call back on my desk phone. I say, "Good afternoon. This is company name. This is me speaking." A lady says, I had a missed call from this number, but I have no idea why you would be calling me because I'm not interested in anything you are selling." I say, "Oh no, that's okay. I don't want to sell you anything. Karen, is it? We had a parcel in our PO box addressed to you. Did you want to come to our office to pick it up?" She said, "Why do you have a key to my PO box?" I said, "Well, actually it's our PO box. We've had the same one for 3 years now, so..." And she explodes. "No, it's my PO box and that's illegal. Why do you have a key to my PO box? I want to speak to your manager." I say, "Okay, go for it. I am the manager." She says, "Well, why do you have access to my mail?" She yells this whole conversation, but I got sick of writing in caps. I say, "I don't. I have access to my mailbox. I go every day and I've never seen your mail in my box before. So explain to me why you think you have access to mine. You do realise that I'm from company name, right?" Her, in a moment of unexpected clarity from her, "Well, my PO box is," and explains the full address, which is almost our address as we have 2 post offices nearby, but hers needs the suburb name then East added to it. Easy. I say, "Oh, I understand now, sorry. Well yeah, looks like Amazon or Australia Post hasn't added the detail to the label sticker, so it's come to the main post office." Hahaha, whoops, and I'm trying to calm her a bit. She says, "Well, I've made the order. I put my details in it as I always do. That's how I have them saved on my Amazon profile too. So why did it get sent to you?" Me, getting sick of going back and forth with something I have absolutely no time to deal with. "How would I know, mate? I don't work for Amazon or the post office. I literally picked up our PO box mail and your parcel was with it. I didn't have to call, but I did. I have nothing to do with your mail or your order details. As I've said multiple times now, I'm from company name." She says, "Well, this needs to be escalated and you'll need to drop the parcel off at my house ASAP because it's urgent." Me, at this point, I thought my nose started bleeding from inner rage. What the fuck? What's not being understood here? She says, "Well then take my parcel back to the post office and tell them about the error." I have absolutely no authority to take a parcel back and have them amend the address. Nope, not gonna happen. You need to come get it from me, or I can take it back and they will return it to Amazon. I probably could have done more, but really, fuck her. She says, this is urgent medicine I need. You buy urgent medicine from Amazon and they mark it as beauty products on customs and declaration. Bit odd. That's none of your business. Yeah, exactly. None of this should be my business. Now come get your parcel and stop blowing up at me. Ugh, this is completely unacceptable behaviour. I want to lodge a complaint. I said, you're not a customer of ours. You have no grounds to complain. I am trying to help you. Where is your office? I will come right now and you better have some answers for me. I said, beautiful. Our address is, and I give her the address. Can't wait to catch up. I'll see you then. She hangs up. I imagine she has slammed down her phone and absolutely obliterated it because of how angry she was. Her hands shaking from rage, she cleans up the froth from the sides of her mouth, grabs a handbag, makes sure she's carrying her Karen ID, and she heads to her new 4-wheel drive that she only uses for city travel. Myself and the other office staff share a great laugh over it. We're currently pacing the room waiting for her to get here. Everyone wants to witness this pure stupidity firsthand. That call was 3 hours ago, still not here. We'll keep you updated in the comments. Update, also in the comments, thought it would be easier to find here. 3:40 PM Thursday, 22nd of 2nd 2020, still no Karen. We have now held 2 separate staff meetings to discuss what should be done to the package. These were some of the most productive meetings we've ever had, and I feel everyone has become closer during this time, a real team bonding moment. She has until this time tomorrow. We'll keep you posted. And our final story is from Georgie Jamix. I can't work here. This happened in the early noughties when I was in secondary school, middle school for you all in the Wild West, and a megamart is just a thing for my country in Asia. And I was in my school uniform then, just got in a new school and such, plus it's near towards a festival that we celebrate here, so we're buying tons of things, we prepare for the guests when they come. So I was pretty shy and I have speech problems when I was at that age. I don't normally talk to anyone outside my circle. At that time, I somewhat wandered off from my mum at the mega supermarket when I met this entitled woman, EW, that demands me to help her, and I didn't help anyone prior to her. The entitled woman starts, "You stupid girl, come here and help me." I said, "I don't work here." She said, "Don't you fake it, now help me with my trolley." I'm pointing at my school logo. "Sorry, I can't help you," and I walk off, embarrassed. I thought it was the end of the story when I got back with my mum. This EM came with a manager to try and lodge a complaint about me. She said, "Here she is, this stupid girl didn't help me." The manager looks in disbelief. "Mum, she's with her school uniform, she can't be working here." At this point, I'm already blushing red and feel hot when my mum asked me what happened, but no words came out of my mouth. "This is how you train your employees. This is unacceptable," the manager said. I repeat again, she's a student and her uniform is different from ours. And EM outraged, trying to pull me to her, screaming, "I don't care, I'm going to complain if she doesn't help." And my short-tempered mum immediately slapped her hands off me, telling she's going to call the police for assaulting a minor, but this EW didn't stop. So I think the manager got someone bigger, but the security guard came, was in the midst of EW and mum arguing, trying to pull this EW away from us, apologising to what has happened. But this EW still wanted to assault me while the guards brought her out. So months later, we got a police letter for us to go down to the police station for investigations. Apparently this EW went to report a police case and they wanted our side of the stories despite seeing the CCTV. But upon seeing me, and they sort of told my mum things will be okay, we never heard a thing again. Wow, what do you guys make of these stories? What was your favourite story today? There's a whole bunch of them, but my favourite story has to be the grandma with the Alzheimer's. I know Alzheimer's is an incredibly sad situation. The way the OP explained it is that like this grandma had a moment of clarity, knew that Karen was there, and just called her a bitch. I just love that fact, and that she's looking after her grandma as well. One of the things that I love about I Don't Work Here and I Do Work Here Lady Stories is the wholesomeness of them. There's a lot of wholesomeness. They're not used most of the time, sometimes, but most of the time they're not over the top, you know. They're not like people trying to kill each other and things like that. And that is one of the main reasons I love these stories. So what was your favourite story in this group of stories? And if you have made it this far, God bless you first, because you're an absolute hero to me. And second, add to your comment below, I am a bloody legend. and I'm talking about yourself here, say I am a bloody legend in the comments below. I want to hear it. As always, guys, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time watching these videos. I know they're getting longer. I'm really enjoying making the longer videos. I seem to be getting a lot more comments on them, and your interaction means the world to me. This is a community-based channel. Don't forget to post on our own subreddit, Daddy Cringe, because on Subscriber Sundays, we will be covering your stories, because I just love the interactiveness with you guys. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you in the next one. Much love now.